Families these days, parenting can be a balancing act of being involved with guiding your children through life without going overboard. Today, we're asking, where is that fine line between parenting and over-parenting? We're joined by Dr. Jamie Ostroff, a professor of psychology from UB, also Jennifer Rung, editor of Buffalo Magazine. This segment today is inspired by, Jennifer, your cover story of the latest issue of Buffalo Magazine, the family issue. And in your letter to the readers, you actually called this the most thought-provoking and interesting cover story in the existence of a magazine. Why is that?
Well, I think it really reflects something that we're all living. All parents of basically of school-age children in Western New York are kind of living. And the story stemmed from a lot of conversations I was having about how life for parents and for children is so much different than it was even a generation ago when I was a child, for instance.
And to illustrate that, we do have some statistics that we're going to pull up on the screen right now. We saw in the article that 49% of parents spend more time with their kids than they did a generation ago. 17% spend less time, and 33% are about the same. But of course, the large chunk of that number, they're saying that they're spending more time with their kids than they did a generation ago. What do you think about that, Dr. Ostroff?
Well, I think that it definitely demonstrates kind of some of the generational changes and some of the changes and dynamics within family structure. But what I think is the most important point about these statistics is not how much time necessarily families are spending together and what parents, how they break down their day and their schedule, but what they're doing with that time and what's the quality of the interaction. And I think that there can be real benefits to that added time, but there can be a risk too if we're being very controlling and very intrusive in the parenting style that we adopt. That might stifle children's creativity, their exploration, their imagination, and their overall self-esteem and mental health in the long term. So I think it's a really beneficial, positive change. It has a lot of potential advantages for young children in particular, but there's a risk, and I think we want to have balance, I think is really the most important take-home message.
That was kind of how the article summed everything up, but the majority of the beginning of the article was almost had a nostalgic type of theme, talking about the things you were just talking about, more of an old-fashioned parenting style. Is that something that modern parents can really get away with anymore, do you think, Jen?
I think it's very difficult. I think there is a lot of pressure from a lot of sources. Things have changed as far as what kids do every day after school or during the summers even. A lot of it is much more scheduled activities now than it is free play. When I was a kid, I'd go out for hours and come back before dark. I mean, that was kind of what everyone in my neighborhood did.
That was your activity.
Right, that was our activity. We found our way. Now everything is much more scheduled, and I think it is difficult to kind of go against that or differ from that, only because that's what all their peers are doing as well now.
And a common reason for that is because things we were just saying, you want to get your kid ahead in life early on, right? What do you think about that early competitive nature?
Well, I think that there's some risk to that, right? So there may be some advantages. So the children may excel in their chosen sport or musical instrument, but it actually comes with a cost. So parents might be more likely to experience anxiety. Children may actually get burnt out much easier, right? And experience greater levels of stress and discontent over time. And it may foster kind of some problems with their self-esteem, with their own anxiety as a child. It may foster a sense of I'm the best and striving for that competition, which can backfire for some kids and lead to some problems when they become young adults, when they get to college and we see them in the classroom and a sense of entitlement that many professors and my colleagues kind of experience in working with some students today. And so I think that there's, again, it really comes down to balance. It really comes down to making sure that you're doing what you think is best for your children, but also taking a step back and recognizing that sometimes they just need to be on their own and do what kids do.
Very, very good advice. We have some more numbers to help illustrate this generational divide. This is about how much time families are spending on child care each week. In 1965, moms spent about 10 hours on child care per week, and dads about 2.5. Fast forward to 2011, moms spent about 13.5 hours, and dads about 7 hours. So we are seeing a little uptick there. Do you expect that to keep upticking or kind of taper off? Dr. Ostroff or Jen, whichever.
I think that we probably will see some fluctuations and some increases and some changes, again, as family structure and responsibilities within families change. Dads are going to be picking up more of that time, so I would anticipate that those numbers will continue to change. But there's only so much time that we can actually contribute to childcare within the week, and there comes to a point where it's a breaking point, and at that point, families kind of don't tend to be as harmonious, and they don't tend to be as beneficial for the children. And so I wouldn't anticipate that they're going to go that much higher without some consequences.
And Jen, when you were pitching the story or talking about the story with your writer, assigning it editorially, what kind of discussions did you have, and did the outcome live up to what you were expecting it to be?
It did. I think we really wanted to show both sides of kind of the debate. Not that it's really a debate, but both sides of, or both kind of parenting styles. I do think that there are some parents that I've talked to who you know, are very encouraged by all the activities and enrichment opportunities that our kids have today, whereas other parents kind of want to put the brakes on a little and say, hey, you know, let's go back to our own childhood a little bit. So we wanted to show, you know, the positives and potential disadvantages of both sides, and really how parents can try to strive to achieve the balance maybe between the two.
All right, that's the theme of the day. Achieve the balance. Buffalo Magazine, The Family Issue. There's all kinds of great resources for families in this issue. What are some of the other things that you have?
We have a lot. Our whole issue is dedicated to family. So there's everything from an article about the risk of sports injuries in younger kids to different types of families that are now, you know, very normal in Western New York and everywhere.
The modern families.
Right, the modern
Western
families,
New York,
exactly. Right. To a style article for moms that we call Mamarazzi. Like I said, everything family related.
All right, Buffalo Magazine, the new issue is out on newsstands now, or you may have already gotten it with your paper on Sunday. Thanks so much, guys, for coming in today. We hope that this continued the thought-provoking discussion that the cover story set up for us. We appreciate your
Thanks,
time.
Thank you.
We're going to toss things out to Matt Snyder, who's live on location for our Winging It Goes Pink Week now.